So what do you want to talk about, and how long do you want to talk? And
20 minutes or something,
okay.
20 minutes and half an hour. We're doing this special about how people in the history have provoked on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about that. And yeah, I mean, you're still around and playing music. You released Unholy Terror this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like over 15 years since you released a debut album with W.A.S.P.
Mm-hmm. Almost 17.
17, yeah, actually. But I mean,
September will be 17. Time waits for no man.
I mean, you're still around and playing music. What keeps you going?
I think it's just, you know, if you feel like you have something to say still. I'm the one that just happened to be elected, you know, to say what the other people are saying. You know, so, you know, when you talk about being a rock and roll star, so there's a lot of pretense in that kind of stuff, you know, and I think anybody who's going to have a true career, you know, nobody's career stays up or down, you know, it's a roller coaster, and you have to take everything in stride, and, you know, I was never comfortable with the idea of, you know, somebody using the word rock star or something like that. I think of myself as a songwriter who just happens to be the singer.
Do you ever hope for this big media attention and big success that you had in like the mid-80s?
Well, it's just different now than it used to be. You know, just because you're not on the front page of a newspaper anymore doesn't mean that there's not an audience that respects what you do, you know, that appreciates what you do. And I think anybody that has a long career understands that, and they carve that niche for themselves, and that's really what makes them successful. It's not, you know, success is not about can you make it for 5 years. It's can you do it 10 years, can you do it 15, can you do it 20.
That you made it to the front pages all over the world in 1984 was, of course, the show, the horror show.
Right.
How did all that started?
Boredom. Absolute boredom. We had gone in and we had recorded what ended up being the majority of our first album. And so we were waiting for a response from record companies. And in our haste, you know, we got bored and we decided, well, why don't we go out and play live and, you know, see how people react to this stuff. We didn't even have a name, you know, much less a concept of what we were going to look like, where we were going to, you know, a show or any of that. And so then we chose a name that was controversial. And I mean, we wanted something that was going to provoke thought, and that's where the periods in the name came from. It drove people crazy. I mean, it worked far better than we could have ever imagined. And it still does to this day. People, you know, I hear a new definition every week, what people think it means. But that worked really well. And so then we said, okay, what are we going to look like? And, you know, are we going to do something? You know, and we all basically looked at each other and we said, well, do you want to just stand there and play? I mean, that's not what I want to do. What do you want to do? You know, and it was the kind of a thing that we thought, well, if we do get a record deal and we end up on tour, we're probably going to be doing this show 300 days a year. We had a very short attention span, you know. We thought, you know, if we're going to have to do this 300 times a year, it better be something that entertains us as well as, you know, hopefully entertain other people.
Were you surprised of the attention?
Yes. Because I remember thinking, you have to remember that it takes extreme personalities to do the kind of show that we've done over the years. So I said earlier that I feel like I'm just a regular guy, and I am in a lot of ways, but there's a side of my personality that I realize is extreme. I must admit, looking at the early films of us playing live, I know what was serious and what wasn't. But when you look at the look in our eyes when we're playing, it's almost like it's like looking at a young boxer who's out there trying to take the title away from whoever's got it.
I mean, when you see a cover like this today,
well, what this is, you know, the record and what we were live is two different things. I mean, I never thought that any of this translated as well as what we did live, you know, because I could look at this and I could see this as having potential pretense. you know, even though it wasn't intended. I could easily see how somebody would think that it wasn't real. But no one that ever come to see us, I mean, after they got past the initial record, I never remembered hearing anybody say, they're not real. They might have said they didn't like us. They didn't care for what we were doing. They didn't like the music. But they never said that we weren't real.
Back then, I mean, being on stage and all this, how did the audience react? When you threw meat up and then drank blood and had this...
I think it was, you know, if you had 100 people, you were going to have 100 different reactions. But the thing that I got out of it most was two basic reactions. Was that the people that understood that we were just having fun, and those that took it way too seriously. We used to look at all the controversy and quite honestly could not figure out what the big deal was all about. You know, to us it just didn't seem that extreme. And I don't think the show in of itself, to be honest, was really offensive to people. I think there might have been elements that got the headlines in the newspaper, but I think more than anything, the thing that frightened people was the way we did it. It's not what we did, it's how we did it. And that was that genuine believability. You know, I was talking about a young boxer a while ago. I still see that in us to this day when I look at films. The me that's talking to you right now is the same person who's out on that stage. I don't feel any different than when I'm there performing or when I'm talking to you right now. But there is a clear difference when I look at film, that I can see myself now in an interview, and then I'll see myself on stage and I see that killer look in my eyes and I go, wow, you know, there's just something that takes over. I think that that's what you have to be able to get out there to control an audience, because I'm a great believer that either you control the audience or it controls you. And they can be an angry mob if they're controlling you. And I don't want to be controlled in that sense.
And they had debate programs.
Yeah, I heard all about
TV,
that.
And I mean, the people there were very, very, very upset.
Yeah, but you know what? That's like any other group or organization of people who are afraid of something. It's all based on fear, because you got to remember, yeah, I mean, all human instinct of survival is based on control. Everybody wants to control. You know, I was talking about controlling an audience. Okay, that's my survival mechanism. You know, with parents, they want to control their kids. You know, everything is about control. Everybody wants to control their situations so we feel more comfortable as humans. You know, but parents, the things that they don't get, and that, I mean, they were kids themselves. They understood what it was about, but when they become parents, they start to forget a very simple, basic rule, that if they've done their job properly, they need not fear me or anybody else that's remotely like me.
Do you have kids yourself?
Not that I know of. But that's what I would do. I would impress upon them, you know, the values of the things that my parents impressed upon me, you know, so you don't have to be in fear of your kid watching a Roadrunner cartoon, you know, and all the violence that goes on within that. I mean, some of the arguments that I hear coming out of parents today are pretty ridiculous. Part of that modern phenomena that we have in America, where kids are taking guns to school and things like that. This is all part of that that new modern phenomenon. And it's not just North America. It's how I see it happening in Britain. I see it happening in Asia, where kids, these are cries for help, is what these are. One of the things that I've learned over the years is that you get a lot of people listening to your music, and you would not believe some of the fan mail that we get of kids who are desperate out there. And you think to yourself, well, yeah, they're probably right. The parents won't listen to this, and they won't get the message of what I'm trying to say. But maybe there's a kid out there somewhere who's this close. He's on the verge of going off the edge. If he thinks maybe there's somebody out there who understands, somebody who cares, maybe it'll make him think twice.
At the same time, some people would think that you, by playing rock and roll music, creates this rage and all this stuff. You understand that?
I understand that, but all I'm, you know, my whole argument the whole time is all I'm doing is I'm being the reporter, I'm being the mirror of society, you know, and we're only reflecting what's there. But then again, you got to remember too that, and I'm not going to defend everything we've done, because W.A.S.P have done a lot of stuff that's been sensationalistic, you know, but that's show business, you know. I mean, you got to understand that a lot of what we've done is tongue-in-cheek. My God, it's not been intended to be serious.
Could W.A.S.P have been this big name without the horror show, you think?
You have to remember that anytime a band does something visually, whether it's us or whoever it may be, the audience has a tendency initially to listen with their eyes and not their ears. But I don't think any visual band, whether it's us, whether it's Kiss, Alice Cooper, Arthur Brown before him, you know, I don't think that any of these bands musically would be able to stand the test of time if it wasn't for the strength of the music.
I don't see that much difference between seeing an old W.A.S.P concert or going to see like a play, a Shakespeare play, Macbeth or something.
I agree, absolutely. I mean, you know, one of the things I always found fascinating is, you know, whether it's Hamlet, Macbeth, any of that, you know, when you watch traditional Shakespearean theater where, you know, someone gets their tongue cut out and, you know, really they're using pig's liver and the guy spits it out on the stage. I mean, to me that was far more offensive than anything W.A.S.P ever did. But this is considered classic theater, you know. It's all about how something is being sold to the general public.
Last thing here, I mean, when it comes to putting horror into a show, I mean, choreographed horror, something like that. Is there like a limit? This is too much.
If there's something to be said from an artistic point of view, no. From the general public's psyche or their collective mentality point of view, we found out that you can.
Great honor speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Niin, rakkaat katsojat, legendaarinen laulu- ja soitinyhtye W.A.S.P on julkaisee 9. albuminsa Unholy Terror, ja meillä on täällä yhtyeen keulakuva sirkkelintärimies Blackie Lawless. Welcome to the show. I read from the album sleeve that you kind of have a hate-love relationship for songwriting. So
I hate songwriting. I hate making records.
How tough was this one?
They're all really tough because it's that constant tug of war, that struggle in your head to get your conscious mind out of the way, to let the subconscious mind come out. Yeah. You know, what's really going on the inside. So it's kind of like, it's always really a struggle, because I'm not trying to make good records. I'm trying to make great records. And I'm trying to make them perfect. So it's really always a struggle.
Ihan hetken päästä jatketaan jutustelua Blackin kanssa, mutta sitä ennen katsotaan yksi legendaarisimpia videoita, mitä bändillä on ikinä tullut, nimittäin I Wanna Be Somebody vuodelta 1980. There was definitely some old material.
Yeah.
How does it feel like to watch it now?
It's very bizarre. It's always surrealistic because people ask me, they say, do you feel different when you're on stage than you do right now? I never feel any different. I always feel like the same person till I watch it back on film and I go, oh, wow, who's that? You know, it's very bizarre.
Okay. I heard that you guys had a lot of debating from this album title, whether it should be Unholy Terror or not. So,
well,
why was that?
Because when you start dealing with religious subjects, you have to be very, very careful to make sure that if you're going to make a statement that people understand exactly what you're trying to say. This album is not an attack on personal faith. It's about my experience and Chris's experience of growing up in the church and how the church teaches you to think the way they want you to think. And again, it is not an attack on personal faith. It's about organized religion and the way it manipulates their people. But it's not just religion that does it either. Governments are famous for doing it to people. I mean, what you see on the news, on television, is really what the government wants you to see. So the whole idea of this is think for yourself, find your own answers, don't let happen to you what happened to me. You'd be better off.
Yeah. 15 years ago, the church people were pretty much on to you.
They still are.
Oh, they still are? Are they as excited as they were?
They love me.
Okay. There's a song called Evermore in the album, and I read something that it tells from your experience in some desert. So
Well,
what happened?
I'm part Native American Indian, and so I spend a lot of time in the American Southwest with the other Indians whenever I have time. And it's an idea that I embrace a lot of the culture of the American Indians, and it's an idea of the possibility that maybe we've lived here before. So I'm not saying that I believe in it, I'm just saying I would like to believe in it, and maybe it's possible.
I read something that you've been shot 3 times in your life.
Shot at.
Shot at?
I was missed all 3 times.
Oh, really? Where were they? And
Once was in Paris, once in Paris and twice in America.
Did they catch any shooters?
Twice. Twice.
And were they church people or what were they?
I don't think so.
All right, okay. The Helldorado, the last album that you did about 2 years ago, you said that it was a step towards the old W.A.S.P material.
Right.
So where is this album taking us?
I don't really try to think about where I'm going to go with records when I record them. As I was saying before, I just try to get the conscious mind out of the way and let the subconscious take over. I'm so close to this record right now, I can't tell you what it is. It's almost like trying to paint a mural that's 50 meters wide with your face right up against it. You can't see what it is. So it usually takes me about 6 months or a year to be able to understand what I've done. The only thing I think that I'm trying to do on this is try to give people the benefit of my experience of what happened to me growing up in the church. And again, to make better decisions for themselves, so they don't end up crazy.
In the 80s, it was very common that bands like you and Kiss and Iron Maiden and those kinds of bands, they did a record almost every year. And they always have a new record and then they tour a new record. And nowadays it seems that most of the bands, they do 1 record in 3 years and that's it.
I don't think people really understand why it takes so long from record to record. You know, it took 14 months to do Unholy Terror. And people said, well, what took you so long? It took 2 years between Helldorado and this record. I said, well, I toured the world for a year, and it took me a year to make this, 2 years.
But you didn't do any tours on 80s, so how come you did like 5 records in 5 years? Or 4
Because
records?
you're writing when you're on the road. And it's much, much more difficult. I think the quality of the records is better now because you're not doing them. You're literally in the back of a bus writing an album every night while you're on tour. Those early records were made in 6-7 weeks, beginning to end.
Yeah.
It takes me that long now just to tune my guitar. So, it's a lot more dedication in it.
Okay. I read a fact that before you became a musician, you were pretty good on baseball. So you still play that?
Yeah, I love the game. I know it's hard for people here to understand, but in America it's very big.
All right. Are you a pitcher or what?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What about I've got to ask the groupies question then, though, because you had a lot of groupies in the 80s. How is it now? Okay, you still got them, but you do them after the gigs?
The 90s changed everything.
Really?
Oh,
What
yeah.
happened?
Well, hey, you got to be careful. You end up dead.
Yeah.
So the 90s changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And like I said, you have to be careful now. It's not like the good old days.
Okei. No niin, nyt alkaakin sitten tämä haastattelu, on se interaktiivinen osuus. Toivottavasti siellä on puhelinnumero ruudussa, siihen voi soittaa ja esittää tälle miehelle, eli Blackie Lawlessille, kysymyksiä. Onko kellään tässä yleisökysymyksiä? Kättä vaan pystyy, jos
Back
haluaa
up,
jotain.
back the fuck up.
Kenellä mulla on jotain kysymystä? Siellä olisi ainakin yksi tuo takarivissä, jos saadaan mikkiä sinne.
Hey, I gotta dwell back on the old days a little. Are you aware what Randy and Tony are doing nowadays?
I saw Randy about a year ago. He's living in Cincinnati, Ohio. And he's doing okay. He's fine. Tony, I don't know where Tony is. I don't think Tony knows where Tony is.
Meillä pitäisi olla puhelimessa itse asiassa joku. Meillä on Timo puhelimessa. Haloo, kuuluuko?
Kuuluu.
No niin, morjesta. Hei, sulla on kysymyksiä varmaan Blackille.
Joo, yksi ainokainen.
No annahan palaa.
What was really the first album's name? Was it W.A.S.P? Or I Wanna Be Somebody?
No, we originally thought that maybe we might call it Winged Assassins, but at the end
I
we just...
have it in that name.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bootleg then, because it's originally titled W.A.S.P.
You're under
Yeah,
arrest.
but it says Weekend Assassins.
I got no money for that.
No niin, meillä on seuraava soittaja. Kuka siellä?
Joo, täällä on Jiiko.
No terve.
Joo, yksi kysymys tälle Blackille.
Joo, anna mennä vaan.
Joo. Mr. Black, do you think that you have inspired the Norwegian black metal scene?
That's what I hear. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen numerous covers that black metal bands have done of W.A.S.P songs, and some
Yeah.
of them I've heard that are actually very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably.
Yes. Oh, thank you. That was
Okay.
clear. Okay.
Ketäs muita? Onko täällä muita, jotka haluaa kysyä? Ota mikrofonia ja anna palaa.
Hi. Do you still wear your codpiece on stage?
Not to bed.
What about the flamethrower?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I wear that one to bed.
Okei, mitäs muita? Ketä haluaa kysyä jotain? Sieltä.
Don't be shy.
Noniin.
Metal. You're metal, I'm shaking.
Stop!
Sano vaan, anna tulla vaan.
Nothing more.
Is it my breath?
Nothing more to ask.
Okay.
Tää on suomeksi, mä voin kysyä se englanniksi.
Can I shake your hand?
Kiitoksia kuitenkin soitosta. Onko tässä ketään, joka haluaisi kysyä viimeisen yleisökysymyksen? Noniin.
Kai.
Where are you touring this summer? Wonder, are you coming to this place in Germany called Wacken Open Air?
I think so.
Yes. Oh yeah. Great.
Elikkä sinne kannattaa sitten ehdottomasti mennä, jos W.A.S.P tänä kesänä niin kuin ihan saletisti haluaa nähdä. Nyt Olli Oikarisella pitäisi olla meille asiaa vähän tuosta Jyrki Communitystä. Ole hyvä, Olli.
One, two. All right. This is really weird. This is like talking to you in my own living room. It's Bullet TV. It's Total Rock. Joining me, Blackie Lawless from W.A.S.P. They've been here for about an hour, dude, waiting to see you. So
the other people over there.
Yeah, okay. No, people have been lining up here for ages. Great set last night, by the way. It was really fabulous. Was that the first time you've played here at Wacken, or have you played here before?
First time here, yeah.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
I'll tell you what people don't understand, from a band's point of view, before you ever see the audience or anything like that, the first thing we notice is the temperature. I'm not kidding you. It's like, if it's cool like it was last night, you don't get as tired, you don't sweat as much. I mean, your energy, you got endless energy. It's like, you know, when you're playing arenas and things like that, and they open up the dressing room doors and you're gonna walk out the stage and you feel that wave, like a microwave, come over, and you just want to start crying because you know you're gonna hurt when you go out there, you know, it's like, so last night...
You know you're gonna lose about 40 pounds during the show.
I'll tell you, sometimes, you know, with the outfits I'm wearing, I'll squeeze on my arm and you'll see water just shoot out of the end of my elbow. Oh yeah, you know, I look down, there's puddles on the floor and stuff like that, and I'm going, my God, that's me.
So the new album's been doing well. Do you have any future plans going back into the studio soon, or are you just touring
Well, we're going to start in America the 22nd of October, or excuse me, of August, and that'll take us into November. We're going to go to South America this year too. We've not been down there either.
Have you been? You've never been to South?
Well, I've been down there to do promo, but we've never played there. So that should be pretty interesting. And then we won't start the next record till after the first of the year.
Cool. And what other? So this is the only show you're doing in Germany this year.
The only show this year, yeah, because we've done some other festivals around the continent. We were here, you know, 6 weeks ago doing some other shows, and we did a proper tour here at the last time. This time we wanted to come just do the festivals. We come back over next summer, then we'll do a proper tour again.
Excellent, excellent. So what other future plans? Because like when the Decline of Western Civilization Part 2 came out, and the whole PMRC thing.
I'm in a different place now than I was then because I see myself more like what Frank Zappa was then.
Right.
What Frank was for me, I am now, you know, that elder spokesman. What Frank did for me was really, really cool. Frank was like a shield. He protected us. Frank took all the heat, you know, and I didn't really, believe it or not, call it naive if you want, I didn't realize how important all that was at the time. We were just making music. And but Frank understood how serious it was. I see some of the younger bands coming up now who were in the same position we were 16, 17 years ago that don't really understand, and it's my job to interface with them now, to catch the heat, if you like, to protect them, to give them the ability to create.
Definitely. I think we're going to take some questions from the audience here. So, Maria, do you have the mic? Any questions for Blackie from anybody? Yep, there we go.
What happened to Mr. Horns?
You're going to have to repeat the question.
Tony's going to have to translate it.
Was ist mit Mr. Holmes passiert?
I didn't get any of that.
I completely missed it.
What happened to Mr. Holmes?
What's happened to Mr. Holmes?
Chris decided he wanted to do his own solo thing. You know, so you really can't tell somebody no, you know, when they decide they want to do that. It's, I think he just felt it was time for him to do his own thing. I wish him well.
I am from Turkey, and we would like to see you in Turkey also. My question is, who is your favorite porn star?
You.
He got you on that.
Give it a shameless plug here for this guy. Whip it out, show everybody.
What do you think about the phenomenon around the world? What do you think about the phenomenon around the world?
One more time on that?
What do you think about the phenomenon around the world?
I missed it.
I couldn't hear it. She said, what I think about the phenomenon of W.A.S.P. I don't know, you know, it's just, I don't think about it too much, to be honest. You know, I'm just trying to make the best music I can make. And whatever happens, happens. You know, it's like, believe it or not, I feel like I have very general tastes. I like the same things you guys like. I like the same movies you like. I like the same food, you know. So if I write a song that moves me emotionally, and I feel that it says something, it's probably going to be moving to other people here. You know, you're probably going to get something out of it as well. So, like I said, my tastes are very, very general. You know, I don't try to do anything that's too eclectic, that's over people's heads, that, you know, that they can't relate to. I'm just.
Are you one of these types of people that like wake up in the middle of the night and you just go, oh, I just had an idea. I got to write this down.
Yeah, believe it or not, you know, some of my best songs I've dreamed.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like Headless Children, I dreamt the whole thing complete with lyrics. Got to write it down. Yeah, I love that because it's like getting songs for free. There's no work involved.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, oh, thank you, I'll have that, you know. So it's, like I said.
How many of them are like real life experiences?
Some of them are, you know, but some of them you take from bits and pieces of people, you know, and you roll them together and, you know, it creates its own thing, you know.
Hi, Blackie. We just wanted to say thank you from the fans from Russia.
Well, thank you.
And I have a question. Is it true that the first W.A.S.P demo was produced by Ace Frehley? And
No.
if so,
No.
do you know him in person?
Yeah, we grew up together.
Rumor, right?
Yeah, we grew up together. You know, what happened was Ace came out originally when W.A.S.P first got started and brought his manager, Bill Aucoin. And Bill Aucoin came very close to managing W.A.S.P. But Bill Aucoin was very involved with Billy Idol at the time. And I thought that he would show Billy Idol a little too much attention, which was the smart thing for him to do. And I met Rod Smallwood right after that, who was managing Iron Maiden, but Iron Maiden wasn't very big yet. And it seemed like a better situation for us. And I don't think that Ace understood exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, we're still friends. I love him very much, you know. And like I said, we were kids. We grew up together. I saw Kiss start from nothing, you know. So I was very lucky, and I learned a lot from them watching them do that.
And you're still being managed by Smallwood, aren't you?
Excuse me?
You're still being managed by Rod Smallwood.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a long-lasting relationship.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can't get rid of him.
First of all, we're very happy to see you here, really.
Thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, in one of the interviews, you told about your negative opinions about Inside Electric Circus. Do you still think the same? If yes, why?
Well, you got to remember that that was a period of my life. I'm going to be real honest with you. That was a period of my life that I'm not happy about. I felt that there was, in 1986, there was about a 6-month period where I was a rock star. It took my focus away from the music. And when we were doing that tour, I became very unhappy with myself because I let myself get into... I became distracted by all the peripheral things that happen when you're in this business. And I'll be honest, I mean, this business is everything you've ever heard it is and more. It's 10 times more than you could ever imagine. And when you give in to the temptations of everything that's put in front of you, it can be a distraction to the music. And I felt that we had reached a point where I wasn't saying what was in my heart. And I made that record, and I didn't really take the time to research myself inside. After it was done, I went away and wrote Headless Children. That was a much angrier record, but that anger was directed at myself, not anybody else, because I was angry that I didn't live up to my full potential of what I know I was capable of doing. So I look back on it, it's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, good in the sense that it made me really respect the music, and that's a word that I use a lot when I talk to other musicians about respecting the music. You can never lose respect for it, because if you do, you're going to go away. I mean, you look at, there's a lot of bands that aren't around anymore because they lost respect for the music. You lose respect for the music, it loses respect for you.
Thanks for taking some time. I know you're busy.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you soon.